前はもう死んでいる。
Hi guys, welcome to another road talk. Hope you guys enjoyed the last road talk. I had quite a nice feedback again, and taking into consideration the views I'm getting is actually good. So I think that's basically saying to me just carry on doing this. And I kinda enjoying doing this, and to be honest, instead of listening to the radio on my way to work, I can just make a quick video and share some experience or information with you guys. So today's topic is gonna be a bit salty, and this is a joke for somebody who's coming. So we're gonna talk about a debate that basically has been on and on since the FN2 has been released to the market back in 2006-07, which is the comparison with his older brother, the Civic Type R EP3. Before I go into too much details, I just want to say that I never owned an EP3. I've drove one. It's not like it's completely strange to me. My mate at work used to have one as well, previously one, and let me tell you, I love the car. I love the EP3. I like the shape. I like the way it performs. So I'm not a FN2 bias, so to speak. Right, so I think one of the big issues we got on the community is sometimes, how should I say, we don't actually appreciate someone else's car, even if it's from the same brand, if it's actually got the same DNA. I don't know if this happens with some of the other makes, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes we let ourselves down, and I'm saying that because with all the bad things, so to speak, that the FN2 might have, it still is a Civic Type R, and I agree, it's not so raw as the EP3, it's not so racy as the EP3, but there's a reason for that, and although people said that's actually there's no evolution from the EP3 to the FN2, I totally disagree, because there's different ways to actually emphasize or actually describe evolution. So let's start with the basics, or probably the biggest argument between both of these cars, which is the suspension. So as you know, the EP3 has a full independent rear suspension, but the FN2 got a torsion beam. Some people say that the reason for that is because of the costs of actually independent suspension, which is I think twice or even more than twice the price of a normal torsion suspension. But I don't, well, I'll say is it one of the factors, yes, but I don't think is the big reason for that, and I'll explain you why. Because I think the focus of Honda, and bear in mind this is a kind of a Sweden project, because the Japanese got the FD2, we got the FN2. FD2 is a much more hardcore car and more horsepower, and it's a much better car overall. There's no discussion about that. It's a 5 doors as well. Well, let's forget that, because for me the FD2 is in another league. You can't really compare both. Yes, I think the FN2 should should have been released with the 220 brake horsepower like the FD2, I think. Yes, the suspension should be different, but it didn't happen, and there's probably a reason for that. And in my opinion, what Honda was trying to achieve is to have a racing car or sports car that was able to be used not only by young people but also be used by family members. Not something that you just take it as a weekend toy with your friends with a Superfur in the end and just go to Cornwall and enjoy, but something that a dad could use to commute, for example, to take their kids to school and on his way to work enjoy the ride. And I think that was the concept of Honda, and that's one of the reasons why they went with a torsion bar. As you FN2 owners know, we got a really nice boot, really nice, really generous boot. You can fit pretty much everything you want in that boot, and you don't see many hatchbacks, sports car with the same size of boot, and that's where I think Honda was trying to be themselves and try to be different. Okay, they compromised the suspension, but I don't think they actually compromised the drivability of the car, because yes, the car oversteers, is not as planted as the EP3, but it's not actually that bad. Yes, I understand that the EP3 is much funner to drive. You got that bit of raw feeling from the car. VTEC crossover probably sounds better as well, and overall on Benz performs better than the FN2. Although I understand that people got disappointed that the FN2 only got one brake horsepower more than the EP3. Take consideration is heavier than the EP3 for a couple hundred kgs. I understand it was a bit of a disappointed for the Type R owners, because almost doesn't look like there's any progression. But I don't think it's fair, because there has been some progression on the car. Looks wise, and this is my opinion, the FN2 looks much more modern car. It got much more modern features as well. It's, in my opinion, a bit more comfortable than the EP3. So again, it's more a family-oriented car. Yeah, Vito, but this is a Type R racing. It shouldn't be like a daddy's MVP. Yes, I get that, but Honda with this car tried to conciliate the best of two worlds, which is having a sport car that still performs very well, and have some cars that the older people can also enjoy and use it on their day-to-day basis. Does the FN2 deserves all the hate? In my opinion, it doesn't. And the main and the guilty person for that, all that hate, is probably Mr. Clarkson, that was a bit annoyed with this car. What is funny though is the same car got the award of Hot Hatch of the Year, exactly in the same year as the review from Clarkson. And I don't know, probably the magazine editors thought that Clarkson was wrong, and some of the points he mentioned about FN2, in my opinion, were just stupid. I mean, the beeping. I mean, all Japanese cars do that beeping when you basically don't take your keys or the door. The seats, yes, doesn't have memory adjustment, but that also happens with loads of the Japanese cars. So, and then he was basically a bit grumpy about the oversteer of the car. And yes, the car oversteers a bit, but that's because it's also heavier, and the model that he tested didn't have the LSD. I know that only championship whites and cars manufactured from April 2010 came with the LSD, but I got a feeling that if Clarkson's had tested that car, his feedback would be slightly better, because the LSD, my friends, makes a huge difference to how this car performs. I still think it's a bit unfair, and the FN2 doesn't deserve all the hate. The EP3 is much funny to drive, it gives you a bit more adrenaline, but the FN2 is not that bad as well. And one of the things that most of the EP3 owners complain about it, and I've actually noticed that, is the steering feel from the EP3. I know there's some EP3s with steering rack problems, and the feeling is not great. As someone said in a video that I watched recently, driving EP3, or the feel from EP3 wheel, is the feel that you're almost driving the car ahead of you, because it feels so long. With the FN2, I feel that the steering is perfect. I mean, you point the car and it just goes, especially when you got some mods to help the steering, like suspension mods. But again, let's talk about stock comparisons. I don't feel that the FN2 deserves all the hate. I think the engine is as capable or even better than the EP3 one. At least the head is definitely better, because it flows better on CFM, I think, than the EP3 head. But now I'm gonna talk about something that I don't see many people talk about that, and in my opinion is a huge difference between the both cars. So you might know, or you might not, that the FN2 has balanced shafts. The balanced shafts basically prevents the engine excessive vibration, so that makes the car smooth when revving and when driving, so the experience is a bit more relaxed. The EP3 doesn't have that balanced shafts, so because the EP3 doesn't have that balanced shafts, it can revs a bit quicker, so to speak. So it picks up revs quicker, and it's been tested and it's been documented that by simply removing the balance shafts and adding the FD2 oil pump, you'll get at least 5 bhp. But it's not about the power, it's about how much easier the car revs. Again, I don't want to sound biased. If you guys disagree or agree with anything that I've said, just put it down in the comments. Again, I would love to own an EP3, because I love the cars. I love especially changing the gears on EP3s. It felt so good that you're so close to the steering wheel. I hope you guys enjoyed this road talk. Leave in the comments below what do you guys think about this discussion, EP3 versus FN2, and again, I don't know about you guys, I feel it's a stupid, or it's a nonsense, because They are both Type Rs. They both deserve to have the Type R emblem, symbol, and they are both great cars. And I would love to have both. Well, I got one. I would love to have the EP3 in my garage as well. So, to all the EP3 owners, I just want to tell you that you guys have a fantastic car. I love it to bits as well. Same way I love my FN2, and I really hope this video tries to basically bring us a bit together, because again, we are on the fans. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm gonna put the windows down and drop you a gear. See you next video.